Welcome back to Sean on Boxing. Thanks for jumping in, everybody. So today we're talking about two of the legendary cruiserweights, uh, obviously Evander Holyfield and Usyk. And every once in a while, this topic comes up in conversation, and obviously based on Usyk's fantastic performance, it's no wonder it's being brought up once again. Because of course, some people are all about race, and one fighter is black and one is white. So of course, some people are going to act like somebody is better than somebody else, right? And this once again comes down to opinion and preference. I'm an Evander Holyfield fan. I watched the 1984 Olympics. I was a big fan of the whole team. My favorite fighter out of that team was Evander Holyfield. I was one of the only people that actually was picking Evander Holyfield to beat Mike Tyson. I sort of followed him and supported him throughout his career. But in saying that, these are two completely different fighters, right? And that's pretty self-evident. Pretty self-evident. And we're going to be talking about that today. And obviously, you're going to be jumping in and giving your opinions on that as well after these messages. So I'll see you after this. Welcome back. It's so amazing how confrontational the YouTube boxing community is. Of course, Usyk does great. People put him pound for pound number one. And then Bud Crawford fans get butthurt and start making videos and questioning how Usyk, a heavyweight, can be ranked against Bud Crawford on the pound for pound list. Of course, then Usyk does something historical. And now, of course, people are bringing up, who's the best cruiserweight to have moved up, him or Evander Holyfield. Don't forget David Haye as well, because he also had a definite run as well, representing the UK. So this is no surprise. Some people just get butthurt when fighters that they support aren't considered universally the best. And this is always what this comes down to. JB is an example of this, right? Some people just need universal acceptance of their beliefs. And if you don't get universal acceptance of your beliefs, it's based on racism, blah, 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 mostly racism. But the irony with that scenario is people are never going to fucking fully agree with anyone, right? I come out with takes that are very down the middle, very socially acceptable on the norm. But yet, not everybody agrees with what I say on my channel. Constantly, I have people that disagree with me. So even when a great guy like me, who comes from a super liberal country and is super accepting and lives in Asia, people still don't believe and follow everything I say, and vice versa. I also don't listen to everything other people say as well. As my grandfather once said, don't believe anything you hear and believe half of what you see. Machado, welcome. The new narrative is Usyk needs to beat Wilder to be proven. Laugh out loud. Why of all people? Well, we know why Wilder's being jammed towards Usyk, because people who are American, black boxing fans, primarily PBC fanboys, most likely, and LDBC fanatics, definitely, feel that Wilder is the best. And they can't accept that a black American fighter isn't universally recognized as the best fighter in the sport of boxing. Even though Wilder was never that fighter. Even before the LDBC jumped on his back and started trying to ride him across the line. Throughout America, people were critical of Wilder and his one dimension and the fact that he wasn't trying to do great things, ducked and dodged both Klitschko's, and really then avoided legitimate opposition when he became a world champion. That's what it is, right? Iceman says Fury lost. He lost. I mean, it is what it is, right? Like in the first fight, I predicted Usyk to win. I got that one correct. This one, it's not that I didn't think Usyk could win, because I always had support and faith in Usyk, but I felt because of all the intangibles, that Fury would have got the decision this time around. And we know you don't necessarily even have to win to get the decision. But Usyk ended up getting it. Of course, there's a big shitstorm on social media, which I don't understand. If you like Usyk and Usyk got the victory, you should be happy. You shouldn't be in your feelings because people disagree with you. If you're a Fury fan, I can understand why you would feel a little more emotional because your fighter lost. Right? It is what it is. It was a great fight, a historical matchup between two of the best fighters of this generation. And that's not Deontay Wilder. So you don't need to beat Deontay Wilder to prove fucking anything. At this point, if you beat Wilder, you literally wouldn't be proving fucking anything because nobody feels that Deontay Wilder is a legitimate test currently in the heavyweight division. Yeah, Machado. It was a close fight, Iceman. Yeah, I thought it was a great fight. I had it a draw on my cards. I mean, I felt that if it was 16-12 one way or 16-12 the other way, it would be cool. And that's why I have no problem with the decision. But, some people acting as if it was a one sided ass whooping. Some people said that they didn't give Fury any rounds. I'm like, who's being biased? If that's your perspective, who's being biased? Because going into this fight, I don't really care who won. The only thing that I said is if Fury did win, it would build up towards what would be a historical trilogy fight, right? Which would be great for the heavyweight division. We had a great trilogy fight with Wilder and Fury. Now we get the same thing potentially with Fury and Usyk. That would be great. But if that doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Now potentially get Fury versus AJ, which I think is a great fight as well, right? And obviously AJ versus Fury and AJ versus Wilder, those are two stones that have not yet been turned over. And both of those are fights that I think, even though these fighters may not be at their best, they're still fights that are going to grab general sports fans' attention. And for big successful fights, sometimes that's the formula, right? Stringer from above said I had it 116, 112 Usyk. Well, a little bit LO. Mar the machine. What is LO? Are you LOL? Or what's LO? Low. Is that like hello? I'm dense, so sometimes I need things to be spelled out for me. But today we're going to be talking about two things. We're going to be talking about one of the fighters who's probably the number one prospect in world boxing right now. And I know some American fanboys are going to kick back against this because, of course, they have to. But it shouldn't be based on race because that's not the issue here. But based on nationality, that might upset them. And, of course, Evander Holyfield, Usyk. Many people picked Fury in the prediction league. Yeah, and that's good. That means I didn't necessarily lose much ground because I felt that, if I picked Usyk, I might be short myself because I felt that Fury might be getting the nod. A lot of people said the fix was in, this and that. I'm not going to go that far, but I could see that for everybody, it made more sense. I respect Usyk like crazy, but if you talk about what fight you want to see Usyk in next, a lot of people are talking about Jay Opataya. Some people are even talking about Better Biev, right? So we're like scraping the barrel trying to find opponents that would be interesting for Usyk. But with Fury, that's not the case. There's plenty of opponents for him that people think would be interesting. Sorry, I don't know why my nose. Allergies. Where are we? Fury AJ would probably still break records in the UK. It would still be exciting for that fight. I would still be excited for that fight. Yeah, it's a great fight. I mean, at this point, you definitely have to favor Fury to beat AJ because AJ really looked not good against Daniel Dubois. And even though Fury lost to Usyk, I thought he looked great. I thought he was very sharp. I don't think he'll be that good against AJ because he probably doesn't need to be that good against AJ. But, they have a common opponent. What's his face? The MMA fighter. So, it's an exciting matchup. Fury must not have trained who trains and gets fatter. No, I think he trained really hard, like he said he did. But I felt that they purposely came in heavier so they could be a little more resilient, right? And potentially absorb more from Usyk. Because, generally a lot of people do that, right? They try to use size as a way to be a little more resilient, especially in the heavyweight division. And I don't think endurance wise, it really affected him that much. But Usyk really pushes an ungodly fucking work rate, right? Which is just unusual for the heavyweight division. Typo. Uh, I too was thinking Fury would get the nod and make a trilogy. Of course, financially, that's the no-brainer, right? I still think you could do the trilogy, but obviously, it's not nearly as interesting coming off of two losses in a row. Stringer from above says, "What did you think about Dubois getting in the ring after the rematch? I think Usyk is going to make him quit again." I don't think it's a big deal. I saw a lot of people getting in their feelings because obviously it's a little disrespectful because Fury, I mean Usyk deserves his moment in the sun without have to addressing some fucking geezer jumping in the ring. But this is not unusual. It happens all the time, right? And if you're going to do the rematch, this is the perfect opportunity to sort of build a little bit of resentment, build a little conversation. So I don't see why people are getting so bent out of shape over it. In truth, I mean, I don't think Daniel Dubois can be too disrespectful. He's a little too fucking, but I don't think it's disrespect. I just think he's a bit of a fucking idiot. You know, where are we? Usyk, the GOAT, gold medalist, double undisputed, fights the best all time on the road. America fans hating on him right now. Of course. Punch Drunk had him top 5 heavyweight of all time, and they all went at him. Well, a lot of people are coming out with the best of all time things. And I think, like I said in my video today, Dan Raphael getting bent out of shape because people are asking, is he one of the top 10 heavyweights of all time? I don't think asking the question is a problem. We're here for boxing conversation. You may think no, that's your opinion. You may think like Punch Drunk, top 5, that's your opinion. I mean, Punch Drunk, nobody really buys into any opinion he has because he's blatantly biased consistently. But he can have an opinion. I don't see what the issue is. I may not agree with him, but nonetheless, I mean, it's still content creating and conversation starting. Dubois needs to worry about Parker. I think Parker can pull it off. Parker's a tough test. That's what I said all along. I want to see that Parker Dubois fight. I think stylistically it's going to be a good fight. If he's able to go in there and really beat the fuck out of Parker, that's just going to help build the fight between him and Usyk naturally, right? Because people still do question if he was knocked out in that fight against Dubois. I think it was a low blow, and that's what the ref said it was. So that's what it was. I have him top 10 resume wise, but he can compete versus anybody in any era. His style is unique. Respect the GOAT, Usyk. You have him top 10 resume wise, or you don't have him top 10 resume wise. Usyk didn't like that. DDD did that. Well, I think anybody gets annoyed when you're being interviewed after what was obviously a grueling camp, a grueling fight, and then some fucking snot-nosed punk jumps in the ring and tries to fucking cap off of you, right? But historically, it's not a surprise. Usyk fans, career greater than Floyd, fans got mad at that. I don't understand that question, that statement, Mexican. Usyk fans' career greater than Floyd's. You mean Usyk's career is greater than Floyd's, and fans got mad at him? Well, I don't know how this has anything to do with fucking Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather is a welterweight. Usyk is a heavyweight. This has nothing to do with Floyd. Usyk is never going to be the marketable fighter that Mayweather was, but yet at the same time, Mayweather didn't do what Usyk did. And you might not like Usyk style wise. You might not like him because he's not American. But fighting the level of opponents he's fought in such a short career, all on the road, and accomplishing what he's done, which is historic, that's something to talk about. Floyd fans got mad at that statement. Got mad at what statement? Yep, Dubois needs to handle business against Parker. That ain't no walk in the park. It ain't no walk in the park. Parker's looked good, right? Like, he's totally earned a big opportunity, and I'm happy to see him get it. And if Dubois beats him, hats off to Dubois, because that kid really bounced back from some very bad defeats that people really question his heart, only to come back and actually be in the conversation for Fighter of the Year, right? People were actually saying he should be Fighter of the Year this year, and I think he probably would have been if Fury would have won. But since Usyk won twice this year against Fury, I think it's hard to look past Usyk as Fighter of the Year. He definitely deserves it. People saying Usyk is ATG, people getting upset. Well, American people, all-time great? Well, there's nothing wrong with saying he's an all-time great. That doesn't even reflect on Floyd Mayweather, unless you say TBE, the best ever. And even when Floyd Mayweather fans say it, it's disrespectful, because then you're disrespecting the great fighters that came before Floyd. But it's always the same situation. When it's a black fighter who's getting these kind of things like TBE or the GWOAT, it's not disrespectful. Because, of course, the people that feel it's disrespectful are the same people who support those people. If it's a non-black fighter who's getting respected as the GWOAT or TBE, then, of course, it's disrespectful. Or ATG, or a Hall of Famer. Well, Usyk is the first fighter to become undisputed since Lennox Lewis. Lennox Lewis is called an ATG. Everybody recognizes him as an ATG, right? Because of what he did. So if he did that and he's an ATG, why wouldn't Usyk be in the same situation? I mean, some people even have Evander Holyfield as an ATG. And so then you definitely cannot not have Usyk as an ATG, right? Usyk or Beterbiev or Bam are in the Fighters of the Year conversation. The problem with Beterbiev, how many times did he fight this year? Did he fight twice? I can't remember if the injury slowed it down to only once. Obviously, beating Bivol is a great win, but it wasn't a dominant, destructive victory. So, well, it's a good win. It's still only one win. As far as Bam, he beat Estrada, who's coming off of 2 years of inactivity. And did he fight Sonny Edwards as well this year, I think? So that's a great win. But then Sonny Edwards was just destroyed by a fighter with less than 10 victories. So, I think it goes without saying. Yeah, Inouye's in the conversation as well. The only problem with Inoue is he wasn't fighting the kind of opponents that really resonate with boxing fans, outside of Luis Neri, right? Who obviously is a 2-weight world champion. But once again, it comes down to the fact that people have opinions. I don't understand these mentally fragile boxing fans who want people to respect their opinions, but then have no room to respect others' opinions at all. I seen a pound for pound list with Beterbiev over Crawford, made me think. I don't know how you could put Beterbiev over Crawford. What Crawford's done, he's done through 4 weight divisions. What Beterbiev has done, he's done through 1 weight division, right? He's become undisputed at 1 weight division. Crawford has already become undisputed at 2 weight divisions. I mean, you could say that the Bivol win maybe is better than any win that Crawford has. Okay, that may be true. That may be true. But then you look at how Crawford beat Spence compared to how Beterbiev beat Bivol. Crawford destroyed fucking Errol Spence. Beat his ass down. Almost sent him into retirement. Beterbiev did not do that with Bivol. So that also is something you need to pay attention to. I can't imagine having Beterbiev above Crawford unless, you really just don't like Crawford. They say Bam took Sonny's confidence. Bud only fights once a year, and looks like Canelo versus Bud's happening once a year against elite fighters, and then you can't complain so much. Usyk, Inui, and Bud. Yeah, I think universally that's who's recognized as the top three, top echelon of fighters: Usyk, Inui, and Bud. Put them where you will. I'm not going to be critical of you, unlike JB, who wants universal recognition of Bud Crawford. I understand people have their own opinions. So if you have one of those three fighters as your number one, who can really complain about it? And then you have the echelon under them: Canelo, Bivol, Beterbiev, Bam, and probably Tank Davis, right? And that's the top eight. And then you have two positions under that where you got guys like Shakur, Ken Shiro, Devin Haney, and of course Shakur Stevenson, and even Lomachenko in that last two positions. So there's five fighters you can stick in there, depending on who you prefer. And this is what I've always said about the pound for pound list. It's not cut and dry, man. But unfortunately, some people are children and they just always want to be throwing their fucking toys out of the pram constantly. Barbershop Conversation reported it, and he always gets those things right, as he was also the first person to report PBC going to Amazon Prime. Oh, you're talking about Canelo versus Bud? Well, it's a no-brainer that that fight happens because there's too much money on the table. But, agree, lots of tangibles, of course. Sean, a lot of people are hating on Usyk, saying he's not the best and he's overrated, that Nagy dude, and many more. They're biased haters on Usyk because he's greatness. Usyk is pound for pound number one. I've got Usyk pound for pound number one because Inui and Crawford have never needed to fight anyone 60 pounds heavier than them, and they never will, right? And can you imagine if they had to, right? We talk about Inui going up to 135 pounds to fight Tank and making it seem like it's completely ridiculous. And Tank Davis going up to fucking 168 and fighting Canelo Alvarez. Ridiculous. But utterly, that's exactly what Usyk did against Fury, right? He should get respect based on that. And also, his two victories this year against Fury are far better victories than Inui against Neary and Bud Crawford versus fucking Madrimov. It just goes without saying. So it's easy to justify Usyk being number one. David Benavidez definitely top 10. No, he's not. How is David Benavidez top 10? He's not even a champion. Like, you notice everyone on the list is currently a world champion. David's not. So how is he on a list when he's not even a world champion? Especially if he beats Morrell. Morrell, a guy who fucking hasn't beaten a top 10 opponent. Went from Plant, Demetrius, Vostik, a guy who'd been retired for 4 years. Then Morrell, that's a great run. Well, it's a great run when you want to fanboy a fighter, right? But in all honesty, Dimitri Andrade didn't beat fucking anyone at 168. Literally nobody. Plant had already got beaten, knocked out by Canelo Alvarez. Vostik had been retired for 3 or 4 years. And Morrell is still kind of an unknown entity because he's never fought a top 10, 168-pound fighter yet. Literally. The same thing I said about Frank Martin, I'll say about fucking Morrell. They look great, right? Truthfully, they look great. But they've never even beaten a top 10 opponent. So you don't know how good they truly are, not until they do it. Tank number one. Oh, Usyk number one. I thought Tank. My glasses must be foggy. Not to mention fighting in everyone else's backyard. Exactly. Usyk clearly number one in the debate is where does he rank in the heavyweight rankings. I have him top 10 all time. Did you watch Bohocuk? I didn't. Because as I said, it's the UK Middle East time, right? So for me, I got to wake up at like 2 o'clock in the morning to watch the whole card. I set my clock for 4 o'clock. It didn't ring. So I ended up waking up at 6 and catching the last fight. So I still haven't watched those other big fights. If he beats Bacoli, Zhang, Dubois again, then he becomes top 5 all time. Yeah, I think see, the problem with people is, recency bias. Obviously, we're seeing him now, so people really overinflate what somebody's doing now, and they ignore what some great fighters in the past have already accomplished. First fight at 175, to me, Morrell, Benavidez. were not impressive at all. Not at all. Prochazka didn't even break a sweat. He's a machine. Never gets tired. I don't know how Brandon Adams beat him. I love how Usyk just keeps on proving blue blood wrong. He picked against him in the second Fury fight and the second AJ fight and the Dubois fight as well. Well, those guys are never going to support a white fighter to be great. So it's not a shock or surprise at all, right? They're never going to give him his just due. It's like JB just came out recently and said, we've never put heavyweights on the pound for pound list. The only reason people are doing that now is because they don't want a black fighter like Bud Crawford being number one. So then you're saying that Usyk is number one. By making that statement, that's what you're saying. You're saying that Usyk is number one, and I need to find a way to get him off the list so I can justify Crawford being number one over him. The reality is, no, Usyk is not a heavyweight. He's a cruiserweight who moved up, just like Sugar Ray Robinson moved up to fight at light heavyweight, just like Roy Jones moved up to fight at heavyweight. These are smaller fighters who moved up in weight, and that is why they were pound for pound. Only American fans big mad right now because Usyk is a GOAT. He is perfect as you can be in boxing. Dante's Boxing was saying that Wilder can beat Usyk. Dude is so biased for black fighters. It's absurd. Usyk would destroy Wilder. Can you imagine how Usyk would destroy Wilder, especially right now? It would be fucking, come on, man. He would get knocked the fuck out within 6 rounds. LDBC thinks Usyk needs to move up to be tested. Laugh out loud. yeah, to super heavyweight against fucking mountain gorillas from the Congo. Usyk is the definition of pound for pound. I reckon you're right about Usyk Fury being a fight for the ages, well into a classic that will be watched by future generations. Great fight, man. Great fight. Ring had lots of heavyweights on the pound for pound list over the decades, like Bo, Tyson, Holyfield. Holyfield deserved to be on the list as well. A guy who started at light heavyweight and moved to heavyweight, right? You notice with me, if you want to be consistent, I never had AJ or Fury pound for pound on my lists because they're heavyweights. American fans always say that an O is important, and now all of a sudden that standard doesn't matter when it comes to fighters of the past who lost a lot. Well, of course, right? When you're trying to praise Usyk above other fighters, his O no longer means anything because those fighters are better, even though they have tons of losses. And we know that tons of losses means you're garbage, you're shit, you're just outright a bum. At least that's what they say about Lomachenko, Golovkin, Roman Gonzalez, many others. They don't want to give Usyk credit, saying it's a weak era of heavyweight. That's insane. Come on. This is definitely not a weak era in heavyweight boxing. It's not. Only fucking fuckboys say that kind of shit. The reality is the Klitschko era was a weak era of boxing. Now it's not. And Fury literally fucking opened the gates from that weak Klitschko era by beating Klitschko and then opening the doors for Wilder, AJ, Parker, who then obviously led to Martin and then where we are now. It's just consistently absurd how some of these people feel the need to consistently not give people credit, all because of skin color. And this is why we're here today, because of this particular situation. I mean, if you look at this record right here, 10 losses from Evander Holyfield. I mean, right there, you got to say that he's complete garbage, right? I mean, if you're going to go by that, I don't go by that. That's why I still say Roy Jones was the fighter of the decade, not Floyd Mayweather, even though Roy Jones has double-digit losses. Jay Will, thanks so much. Who's the best of the era? Usyk, Nello, or Bud? It's a tough conversation, right? I would say Bud was the most dominant. Usyk has accomplished the most, not because he has more things than Bud or Usyk, but based on his overall resume. And yeah, it's tough, right? Like, I mean, you can give all three of those guys total respect. Obviously, Usyk and Bud both 37. Nelo's like 34. So he's still the youngest guy. He could still add things to his resume. If he was to go up to light heavyweight and maybe become undisputed at that weight, then it'd be hard to look past him. It'll be interesting, right? Obviously, their careers aren't done yet, but they definitely are three to put right in that conversation. You have AJ, Fury, Parker, Jang, Bacoli, Daniel, Michael Hunter at one time. That cigar boxing talk dude was saying Usyk overrated. He's biased. Well, those guys are all fucking biased. How is Usyk overrated when he's not even rated by tons of boxing fans, right? Historically, Fury was considered the best heavyweight in boxing, not Usyk. Usyk literally beat AJ, was a unified champion, and people still had Fury the number one heavyweight in boxing because he beat Wilder. So how exactly is Usyk overrated? Then he went on to beat Fury, not once, but twice, proving that literally there's no fighter in heavyweight boxing who's better than him. Obviously, there's potential fighters who could beat him because, that eventually happens to everybody. I say Usyk, he's fighting much bigger guys. Evander did PEDs, that's true. Can't have him greater than Usyk. I think Usyk or Canelo, I feel their resume is way better than Bud. No disrespect to Bud, he's great, but I say either Canelo. Yeah, and the one negative to Bud Crawford is the PBC blackballed him, right? And because of that, like Golovkin, he didn't get a lot of fighters on his resume that would have made his resume right up there with both of theirs. Broner, Danny Garcia, both at 140 pounds, would have made his 140-pound reign way better. And then you get guys like Danny Garcia, fucking Boots, Ortiz, who's the Cuban guy, whatever his fucking name is, I can't remember. Of course, Pacquiao is a top-ranked fighter back in the day as well. That's like 7 or 8 fighters that potentially could be on Bud Crawford's resume. But because the PBC was so afraid of him, they ducked his ass until they were forced to fight him because Errol Spence was a man and stepped up. So respect to Errol Spence. Who Bud fought where he didn't have all the advantages? Well, come on. What are all the advantages? Wait a minute. Did he have all the advantages against Errol Spence? Wait a minute. JB had Usyk on him, number one on his pound-for-pound list. Now he's claiming heavyweights don't belong. Well, I don't think he ever had Usyk above Bud Crawford in his pound-for-pound list. Never. Gold medalist, double undisputed, never had controversy wins. One clear. Well, yes, the Daniel Dubois fight was controversial. One clear all his fights. Floyd had controversial wins with Maidana and Canelo. Usyk the Great. Why are we even bringing Floyd Mayweather into the conversation with Usyk? To be fair, Floyd's resume is better than Usyk. Floyd's also a 5-weight world champion, right? But he's a welterweight. It's irrelevant to Usyk right now. I don't know why people consistently still need to pull Floyd into this. Fuck Floyd. Floyd's retired. No one's talking about Floyd. When we talk about one of the best heavyweights of all time, Floyd's not part of that conversation. What's more impressive, Canelo at 5'7", going to 140 to 140, 175, or Usyk being undersized, dominating cruiserweight and heavyweight? Well, let's see if Canelo can get a win over Bivol and Beterbiev, and then I would say his run. I don't know what people say. Usyk is the GOAT. He beat everybody at the best on the road. He wasn't supposed to win. He did it the hard way, fighting the best always. Usyk's career greater than Floyd, no debating of facts. Why are you bringing Floyd into this? Like, literally, we're having a boxing conversation about cruiserweights to heavyweights and overall heavyweight fights. Keep Floyd out of this. I'm not going to read any comments with Floyd's name because Floyd's irrelevant. He's not part of this conversation. If you want to talk about Floyd, talk about him in relationship to Sugar Ray Robinson and all those other type of fighters. But how's he related to Usyk right now at this point? He's not. Let's stop bringing him into the conversation. Spence, a compromise fighter. Well, that's easy to say, but nobody said that leading into the fight. Caps, I speak facts. Yours is all opinion. No, you're a fucking troll idiot who fucking all of a sudden now is a Usyk fan, whereas 2 days ago you were somebody else's fanboy, leaving stupid comments all over the internet. Floyd Mayweather, whether you like him or not, beat 28 world champions. Usyk hasn't even beaten 10. Jake Paul took the cap. Usyk, nope, the floor with his midget. I don't even know what the fuck that means. But definitely had all the advantages against Spence. Just rewatched the fight. Brutal. Well, Leaf, beating a guy doesn't mean you have all the advantages. It just means you were better than him, even if you didn't have all the advantages. Sorry, I don't need to read stupid ass comments. So here we go. This is the conversation we're talking about today, and this has nothing to do with welterweights. We're talking about guys who moved through cruiserweight, became undisputed cruiserweight, moved to heavyweight, and became undisputed at heavyweight. Alexander Usyk, 23-0, 14 KOs. Evander, the real deal, Holyfield, 44-10-2. Yes, it's true what they said about Evander. He did use PEDs. I'm not sure if he was ever officially caught using PEDs or if a lot of that was speculation and things of that nature. Yeah, I'm not talking to you, Leaf. I'm talking about other people. So let's take a quicker look at the early move up of what Evander did. And I watched all this as well and compared to obviously what Usyk did. Obviously, both of these guys came out of the Olympics. Evander ended up winning a bronze medal because he was totally robbed in the Olympics. And of course, Usyk ended up winning the gold medal, fighting a few fights on that World Boxing Series, which was kind of a semi-pro situation. So obviously, both of them fast-tracked in their career. You can see that in his 12th fight, obviously, Usyk fought Dwight Muhammad Qawi, who at the time was 26-2-1 in a historical great 15-rounder. And that was really the fight that made Evander Holyfield, because this young kid was able to fight through this crazy fucking battle with this fighter. For Usyk, obviously, he took on undefeated world champion Glowacki, who was a Polish world champion, and beat Glowacki over a 12-round decision to become a world champion. Both great fights against two veteran world champions. Then, of course, you saw what Usyk did. Go on to beat Michuno, champion, Hunter, a guy who ended up becoming one of the best heavyweights in boxing, Huck, world champion, and more. As far as Evander, Mike Brothers, Henry Tillman, Rick Parquet, Jose Aquaso, none of those fighters were world champions or at the level of Michuno, Hunter, or Huck. And then, of course, rematched Dwight Qawi and knocked him out in 4 rounds, which was a huge statement fight, of course, at that point of his career, showing you that now that he had a bit of experience, he was able to go in there and do exactly what he had to do. Sayonara. This was really the thing I saw on social media that brought this conversation up. When this guy, lineal boxing champion, brought up Evander Holyfield and said, after becoming undisputed king at cruiserweight, Evander Holyfield stepped up and racked up the following wins at heavyweight. And you know why he's bringing this conversation up now. This was to shade Usyk, right? And then you see who he said: Rahman, Ruiz, Tyson 2 times, Moore, Mercer, Bowe, Holmes, Foreman, Douglas, Stewart 2 times, Dokes, and Thomas. And the list is impressive, right? The list is impressive. So as far as the level of opponents he was fighting and the activity he was fighting, far more active than Usyk, right? And fighting a very similar level of opponent. But if we look closely, he wasn't fighting the best guys in the division when he was fighting these guys. Obviously, Riddick Bowe, he was one of the best, but he wasn't the best. That's the difference between what Usyk has done and what Evander did. Usyk has fought the best, right? Not the second or third or fourth fucking guy on the list, or fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. After moving to the heavyweight division, he fought the best, the unified champion, the guy recognized as the best champion, a young up-and-comer mandatory who then went on to become a champion by knocking out Anthony Joshua and may go in and fight him a second time, which would be obviously a super impressive run if he was able to do that. Drunk Irishman's in the house. John Rico, what's up? That win aged bad. Mike Tyson lost to Jake Paul. Well, let's be honest. That has no bearing at all. The reality is that Mike Tyson at that time was a shell of himself. And the same reason people felt that Tyson was going to destroy Jake Paul, that's the reason they felt that Tyson was going to destroy Evander Holyfield. But the Tyson that fought Holyfield wasn't the same Tyson who'd become undisputed in the heavyweight division. He'd already been in jail for 3-4 years, came out and was basically just fighting for money. That's all he was there for. He was no longer a hungry killer that had sort of made him who he was. What happened? I thought I had some more. Here we go. How did I skip this one? This one is important because this shows some of the other fights. So here's Usyk. Then, of course, the second tier of his run, which was really impressive. Marius Briedis, undefeated, 23-0. Great fight, historical matchup, historical fight for Usyk. And obviously we saw Briedis and his two recent fights against Jay Okataya. Both fucking wars, right? Where, Jay Okataya had to sort of pull his Evander Holyfield out to beat Dwight Muhammad Qawi, whereas Usyk didn't have to do that. He fought a far more prime Briedis, struggled with a great fighter, but still won convincingly. Didn't have the same kind of oh shit moments that Jay Okataya had against a much older version. Then, of course, went to Russia, faced Murat Gassiev, who at the time was considered a fucking killer. This was the same guy that was training with Golovkin, and people said that he's just a fucking cruiserweight version of Golovkin, hard puncher monster, coming off a victory over Dortukas, an undefeated hard punching Cuban, kind of a Deontay Wilder type of fighter. And then after doing that and becoming undisputed, what did he do? Face the lineal champion in Tony Bellew, right? Who gave up his titles to go to heavyweight, to take on bigger money fights in the heavyweight division, never losing his title at cruiserweight. Fought him in the UK, stopped him in 8 rounds. And that was a very, very impressive performance from Usyk, really making a statement. Took his first fight against, a heavyweight, not the biggest, baddest guy, but not a terrible fighter either, in Chaz Witherspoon. Stopped him in 7, faced Derek Chisora, a guy who, since this fight, has really proven you that he is one of the toughest motherfuckers in boxing today, right? And even at this age where he is currently today, he's still one of the most dangerous fighters out there, which is why he's still getting big money fights. Then faced AJ, beat him 2 fights consecutively, beat Dubois, stopped him in 9, and just beat fucking Tyson Fury in back-to-back wins, getting better the second time around, even though I felt the second fight, it was more competitive than the first fight, but that's my opinion, right? When we look at my man, Evander Holyfield, right? You have the second part of his career, which was filled with multiple losses and against, a lot of good fighters, but then again, a lot of mediocre fighters. Obviously, fights against Riddick Bowe, Michael Moore, Mercer, great fights. Bobby Chez, I mean, come on, that guy was never heavyweight. Tyson, as we know, wasn't the same Tyson. Von Bean was never anything. Lennox Lewis destroyed him in both fights, right? Showing you there's levels to this. When he stepped up and tried to face a Tyson Fury type of opponent, this is what happened to him. He got beat. 1 draw, which was shouldn't have been a draw, and then obviously the loss. Then ended up facing John Ruiz, real man Ruiz, who lost to a fucking light heavyweight. Ended up losing to him, having a draw with him, having a win with him. Should never have had this kind of fucking trilogy with a dude like him. Beat Hassam Rahman, and then lost to Chris Bird. Right? And I'm not trying to hate on Evander. I like Evander. He, like Roy Jones before him, He's a guy that just fought too long and well past his best, right? Where are we? Still a post-op with excuses that looks bad on your resume, losing to Jake Paul, a TikTok star, YouTuber. Usyk is going to destroy Dubois in the rematch. He wasn't happy with Dubois disrespecting him in the ring. I hope he does that. That's exactly what we hope he does. Usyk beat Gassiev, who was a powerhouse at cruiserweight. Sean, you think Floyd's greater than Usyk or in denial? Dude, what does this have to do with fucking Floyd Mayweather? Like, I don't understand why we're talking about Usyk, but you guys can't keep Floyd's dick out of your mouth. I'm not a Floyd Mayweather fan. Actually, I'm fucking anti-Floyd Mayweather. But I don't need to bring him into a conversation when we're talking about one of the best heavyweights in boxing history. Floyd Mayweather wasn't a heavyweight, never was a heavyweight, never will be a heavyweight. So how does he even apply to this conversation? Floyd is a five-weight world champion. But he really was only four. He fought 154, was 152. Oh my God. Like, some people's disdain for certain fighters just fucking makes them mental. And this is the problem with boxing fans. Like, you're still fucking so angry about Floyd Mayweather. You need to bring him into conversations today. We're talking about heavyweight boxing. Yep, Usyk run for undisputed at cruiserweight, way more impressive than Bud's run at 140 for undisputed. Oh, well, of course. Bud beat two fighters at 140, beat two fighters at 147. Usyk obviously beat three champions at cruiserweight, plus Huck, who didn't have a title, but obviously previously had been, and then Bellew. So, well, they weren't champions when he beat them. They were obviously two names you had to beat to kind of solidify yourself as the best fighter in that division, right? You can't really go back and question and say, oh, well, he didn't fight David Benavidez, so, we can't really give him his props. Floyd always comes up when non-black champion does great things. It's a cycle. Even though the irony is it's these dudes that literally are trying to hate on Floyd Mayweather. Like, they're the antithesis of the LDBC. They're the white LDBC who fucking want to shit on black American fighters because now they have a white fighter they can fucking parade over top of them, right? But all you're doing is fucking making yourself look stupid and idiotic. I saw Mike Montero's latest stream. He said Usyk's greater than Henry Armstrong. Okay. Like, why are we fucking comparing Usyk to fucking Hammer and Hank? What Hammer and Hank did in his time in boxing, you can't do anymore. He was literally a three-weight world champion when there was no mid divisions all at the same fucking time. Right? Like, I mean, why do we need to disrespect the fucking legends of the past to talk about boxers of today? Right? We're talking about Usyk. So let's talk about him as a great heavyweight. Why do we need to bring in fucking Hammer and Hank Armstrong or Floyd Mayweather or fucking anyone else that's black? If you want to talk about black fighters and compare them to Usyk, let's talk about the heavyweight division. Sean, you're the one defending Floyd in the chat, cooking you tonight. You lost your step, Sean. What happened? I'm not defending Floyd. Floyd just has nothing to do with a Usyk conversation when we're talking about Usyk in the heavyweight division. You guys just expose your racism. Really, I guess that's why you're having this conversation, because your inferiority of not being able to have a fighter that you liked back in the day beat Floyd. So now you fucking have to use Usyk to fucking flog Floyd Mayweather with. It's kind of pathetic. Usyk's resume isn't better than Floyd Mayweather's. Floyd Mayweather beat 28 world champions. How many world champions did fucking Usyk beat? You don't even know. See, you don't like Usyk, Sean. You're another one. Oh my God, you're a fucking tool. You're definitely not a boxing expert, but you're definitely a fucking dumbass. What are you? Like, We're making a video praising Usyk, and then we have to have anti-Floyd Mayweather fans come here and somehow make it about Floyd. You're the ones making this about Floyd and taking it away from Usyk. If you want to fucking talk about Usyk, then talk about Usyk. We've just been talking about his great resume and his great accomplishments, comparing him to another legendary Hall of Famer in Evander Holyfield. And you stupid motherfuckers, because that's exactly what you are, want to bring up Floyd Mayweather. And anyone in my chat that's usually here, they're not fucking worried about Floyd Mayweather because they also know it's irrelevant. But all these people masking with their pretend fucking channels, like, people got no life, man. Your mother should just ban you from fucking the internet. Fucking take your fucking computer and make you fucking go do some chores. Losers. Losers. But let's get back to it. So, Usyk is the GOAT. You guys get so defensive with that statement. Morel Cubana, you're fanboying for David Morel. So it shows, you're more of a fanboy than anything else in truth, right? But you can have an opinion that Usyk is the GOAT. But yet, I can name fucking 10 heavyweights from history that could be considered fucking above him on the heavyweight list. So, and anyone listing those guys, like Lennox Lewis as an example, have just as much of a right to make that statement as you do. You all hating on his greatness, clowns, don't know boxing. Yeah, okay. Nobody's hating on Usyk's fucking greatness. It's just for some reason, race fans like you want to somehow hold him up in a balloon and fucking somehow make yourself feel better with your small fucking penises. Like, I'm sorry, man, that your mother fucking gave you that small cock between your legs, but get a fucking life, buddy. Nobody's hating on Usyk here, just the opposite. But you guys need to make this about Floyd Mayweather because you dream about Floyd at night, I suppose. I don't know. I never feel the need to bring fucking Floyd Mayweather into a conversation. I'm not fucking Dante's Boxing Nation. Troll out bad. Usyk shook up the sport. He did, right? You look like you get mad triggered. Okay, Ultra Instinct. Morale, we giving Usyk his credit. He's great. No one is hating on Usyk, bro. Exactly. Literally, we're talking about how he's done more historically than Evander Holyfield, which is going to get many American LDBC type of people triggered because, of course, they're the ones that want to believe that Evander has done more than Usyk. And by defending Usyk, somehow we're not giving Usyk his credit because these guys want to hold him above Floyd Mayweather as TBE, not the GOAT, because the GOAT is Sugar Ray Robinson, right? Anybody that's anybody still has Sugar Ray Robinson as the GOAT. Anybody who's a Floyd Mayweather fan has him as TBE. So you bringing Floyd into the conversation, you're using the wrong fucking acronym. You better fucking use TBE as opposed to GOAT. But apparently you haven't watched boxing long enough to know the difference. You probably don't even know who fucking Sugar Ray is. Why does Usyk have to be the GOAT in order to praise him? Fucking weirdos out there. Fucking weirdos, right? Like, these are the kind of guys that end up creating this kind of toxic YouTube environment. Because, of course, like John Boxing, right? These guys believe that their opinion somehow should be universally accepted. Why would anyone universally accept your opinion? If that's the way you feel, that's fine. You can say you think Usyk is the GOAT. I'm not going to hate on you. But doesn't mean I have to fucking think that Usyk is the GOAT. Do I? Do I have to fucking kowtow to you? You didn't like being wrong, dude. How am I being wrong? Ultra. I know you're a moron whose mom dropped you on your head when you were young. But me saying Floyd Mayweather beat 28 champions, which obviously is far more than Usyk, doesn't make me wrong. And as far as the conversation about GOAT, we should be talking about Sugar Ray Robinson then. not Floyd Mayweather. So once again, how am I wrong? And we're talking about Usyk as one of the top 10 heavyweights of all time. Shouldn't we talk about heavyweights? So how am I wrong? Usyk is the best. Stay mad, lames. You're a fucking tool. Stay being a tool. I'm sure your family's proud. Christmas is coming. They'll have to love you at least fucking tomorrow, right? If no other day, they'll have to love you at least tomorrow, even though you're a fucking tool. Someone's got to love you. Maybe your parents will buy you a dog. Why does Usyk? I mean, these dudes are mental. Floyd made a video saying he, capital GOAT, that's how he spelled it. Well, Floyd. Leave it to Floyd. See, now we bring up Floyd because Floyd brought himself into it. Leave it to Floyd to try to fucking cap off of somebody else's success, right? Usyk does what Floyd never did. And of course, now Floyd's got to fucking put his ugly fucking hairdo and pubic face fucking beard on fucking Instagram and try to get attention because truthfully, no one's fucking talking about him except, of course, these fucking morons. Morons, but you know, it is what it is. I don't know why people just can't have normal conversations. This is why people have people on their channel to block people like you. Generally, we don't need people to do that because generally people that come on this live are not fucking mental cases. But in this case, I guess, you know, you are. It's a shame. It takes a fucking, what is it, community to raise a bunch of fucking morons. Hey, well, that's convenient. So here we have BoxRec's all-time pound-for-pound heavyweight list. So we can go through this right now and just look at some of the great heavyweights in history. Because obviously we're talking about heavyweight boxing. I don't know why people are talking about Floyd and fucking Henry Armstrong. Mike Montero should know better, but, you know, everyone knows Carl the Cat is the GOAT. Why not? If you disagree, I'll get up in my feelings. Exactly. Usyk beats them all. How many fucking fake channels are you going to come up with, buddy? Bye. Bye for now. We don't need you guys here. So here's the list currently. And obviously you can see that Evander Holyfield is right there at number 10. So you could easily understand Usyk moving from 15 based on his victory all the way to number 10 at this point. But then you look at the guys above him. So Joe Louis, number 1. A lot of people feel Joe Louis is the best heavyweight of all time. Obviously what he was doing back in the day was fucking domination, right? Myself, I think Muhammad Ali was the best, but that's obviously because I grew up in the 70s and during the Ali era, especially 1960s Ali, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, rumble, young man, rumble. Right? I don't think Usyk would beat Muhammad Ali, whose feet were faster, hands were faster. That jab, I think, would just be the difference in that fight. Not that Usyk isn't a great fighter and couldn't give him a great fight, but the 1960s version of Ali, I think, beats Usyk. Joe Louis, it's a little different because we're talking about the 1940s, right? I don't necessarily think boxing from the 40s is as good or as advanced as it is now. Joe Louis also wasn't any bigger than Usyk. He also didn't have as good footwork, fast feet as Usyk. So I would favor Usyk to beat him, even though what Joe Louis had was fucking devastating power. Gene Tunney, obviously him being number 3, I think, you know, he shouldn't be. He spent a lot of his career as middleweight and light heavyweight. Obviously, only one loss in his career, you know. But Gene Tunney, great slick boxer. But yeah, Usyk would be bigger than him and stronger. Ezzard Charles, the same. Historically, not that big. I don't think he's a great heavyweight compared to modern fighters. Lennox Lewis, I think Usyk and Lennox Lewis would be a great fight. And I think Lennox Lewis would beat Usyk, right? if you want to have that conversation, I think Lennox Lewis beats him. I might be biased because, of course, Lennox Lewis is Canadian. So, I kind of front for him. I watched him box in the amateurs all the way to the pros. So, I have a connection to him. We all mental, just some are a little more than others. Fuck, we've seen the guys that are more. They're fucking all over my page for some reason tonight. Then, of course, they had Floyd Patterson at number 6, right? I think this list obviously is a shit pound for pound list, but I definitely think Usyk would beat the crap out of fucking Floyd Patterson. Rocky Marciano, the GOAT, 49-0. Marciano obviously was a hard puncher, tough as nails, would fucking beat on fucking Usyk, would make it a tough fight. But his feet were slow. He gave up tons of reach. He was a smaller fighter. I'd have to favor Usyk to beat him. Klitschko, Vladimir versus Usyk. Obviously, they would never fight, but you got to think about what Klitschko was, the way he fought. Not the most exciting fighter, but a hard puncher, a great jab, a giant. Usyk, I would favor over Klitschko. Jersey Joe Walcott, yes, I favor Usyk. Evander, I favor Usyk. Frazier could be an interesting style matchup, right? His nonstop aggression. We saw how much trouble he gave Muhammad Ali. I think potentially he could give Usyk a lot of trouble as well. Young Stribling, I don't know enough about him. Larry Holmes, just with his jab, right, would definitely have given fucking Usyk some problems. Max Schmeling, no. Vitaly Klitschko, I think Vitaly Klitschko beats him. Igmar Johansson, well, come on. I don't think Igmar Johansson is even a top 20 heavyweight of all time. Not even fucking close. Joshua Bean says, this is why your channel doesn't grow. Usyk's tricky Ukrainian style befuddles American boxers. There's no blueprint to beat him. He's undefeated, while Ali lost tons. There's a blueprint to beat him. Well, no. The 1960s version of Ali didn't lose to fucking anybody. Only after 3 or 4 years of not being allowed to fight because of the U.S. government did he come back as a far different fighter. So no, there was no blueprint on beating the young Ali. My channel doesn't grow, not because I'm not a fucking dumbass like you. Actually, I'm a boxing fan. So my opinion is far more neutral, whereas you're a fucking radical who obviously doesn't even believe what he's saying. So, how many fucking followers does your channel have? I was a big fan of Lewis. Don't know if he'd beat Usyk. It would be close. Great fight. I think he would. He has that great amateur pedigree, huge puncher, fucking battering ram jab. And he was dirty enough to fucking hit you low and do what he had to do to get a win. Sean's channel is the real boxing talk. Exactly. I'm not coming here hating on Usyk. I'm not coming here dick riding Usyk. Unlike you fucking guys who, I don't know what the fuck you're trying to prove. If you want to prove something, you should go to the LDBC channels peddling this shit, right? You just saw a live today and you felt like you need to come in and fucking push your bullshit. But the reality is nobody hated on Usyk here. No one has hated on Usyk. So nobody really understands exactly what you guys are fucking trying to do right now, except expose yourself as fucking idiots. Good job. Successful. George Foreman. Big George. I would favor George Foreman to beat Usyk. Sonny Liston. I would favor Usyk to beat him. Sonny Liston was a smaller version of Foreman. Not as good as Foreman, I don't think. We saw exactly what Foreman did to guys like Norton and Frazier. He fucking destroyed them. Elmer Ray, don't know him. Jack Sharkey. I don't think anyone from fucking that era would stand a chance against Usyk. Anthony Joshua. At this point, we've already seen Usyk beat him. Primo Carnera. Yes, no chance. Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, prime Mike Tyson versus Usyk. That would have been fucking something to watch. I would favor Mike Tyson, prime Mike Tyson, prior to his loss to Buster Douglas, uh, to beat Usyk. That's my opinion. I'm not even a huge Tyson fan. I was more of an Evander Holyfield fan. Jack Dempsey, again, too small. Wouldn't be able to deal with a guy that would really make him look like he was the giant. Riddick Bowe, I would favor Riddick Bowe to beat Usyk. Max Baer, no. Tyson Fury, we've seen him beat him. Zoli Foley, Ken Norton, I favor. Povetkin, Misk, Harry Wills. I don't know enough about these guys to really rate them, right, against a guy like Usyk. But at this point, with the guys we've listed, I would definitely put Usyk top 10 of all-time heavyweights in boxing history, right? Because I don't know if there's 10 heavyweights out there that I would put above him. What are you on about? Nobody knows, Isuma. Made for diehard boxing fans. It is all hypothetical. We will never be able to know. In terms of this era, Usyk is an incredible fighter, maybe the best. Yeah, I would say the best. Yeah, Foreman would KO Usyk. The tricky Ukrainian style doesn't work so well in the lighter divisions. Well, don't say that, because Lomachenko is not the same kind of fighter as Usyk, and he had tons of success in boxing. Outside of his one robbery to Salido, where the ref fucking screwed that fight up, the only guy to really beat Loma was Tio. And if we're to believe everything we heard, that's because of a shoulder injury, which kind of seems true. The fact that he didn't throw punches for the first 5 rounds, then still almost fucking beat Tio in that fight. And he beat Devin Haney. So, right, I think Loma had tons of success. The one thing Loma could have done that maybe would have made him more successful was maybe to be a little more personality-wise like Usyk. Not so arrogant or overly confident, right? Most of what Lomachenko's losses came from were his arrogance, right? The fact that he was so uber confident with who he was. Fighting Salido in the second fight, his arrogance led to that loss. And then the guy lost, didn't make weight, came in too big, and still you didn't cancel the fight. You still went through with it, right? And then, of course, the Tio, your father and everyone telling you not to fight at this time, to cancel the fight and reschedule it because you were injured. And he said that he would retire if they did that, right? Once again, arrogance getting in the way. The one thing you can't say about Usyk is arrogance. Usyk seems to be much more, I can't think of the word, but not so arrogant, right? And I think arrogance is really Lomachenko's downfall, especially when he was younger. Riddick Bowe lost to Evander. Riddick was 246 that fight, and Evander 217. Well, to be fair, I don't think Riddick Bowe lost any of the fights to Evander Holyfield, and I'm an Evander Holyfield fan. Yeah, but Loma with serious footwork issues. He can't fight off his back foot because he's always breaking the base with rhythm steps, cross steps, etc. Yeah, he's a different fighter than Usyk. Usyk schools Bowe at 220. He's quick for him. Riddick Bowe's inside fighting is levels above anything that fucking Usyk has dealt with. Anything. He's just as big, hits harder, great jab, and his inside fucking punches are some of the best we've ever seen in a heavyweight. Don't let a few of the situations where Riddick Bowe's stupidity, lack of professionalism made him look bad. Because when he was on his best, he was one of the best heavyweights of all time, right? And people that watch him really sort of were disappointed because he kind of never lived up to the expectations, especially ducking fucking Lennox Lewis. That's why Tio beat him. It had nothing to do with Loma's shoulder injury. Yeah, his arrogance. It wasn't his footwork. It's his arrogance. I actually think Usyk had better footwork than Loma. Okay. Riddick Bowe was his own worst enemy. Yes, he was. They both were trained by the same fucking trainer. So if Usyk's footwork came from working with Papachenko, would it be better? Or is it just that he's fighting guys that have shit footwork in heavyweight boxing? It's the same way Canelo is so successful moving up in weight, because even though he's got bad footwork, his footwork is still better than most of the guys he's facing who are bigger and more plotters than him. He's also got faster hands than them, right? This is his advantage, the speed that he brings moving up in weight, whereas they're more plotters and not able to compete with him, right? Especially with inside fighting. That's funny. Usyk and Evander, same size, height, and reach. He definitely cooks Bowe. But yet, Evander Holyfield never fucking was able to cook Riddick Bowe. What fight did he cook him? I mean, we literally saw fucking Riddick Bowe beating the fucking shit out of Evander Holyfield. I don't know if I saw Evander beating the shit out of Riddick Bowe in all three of those fights. Usyk is more balanced than Evander. He's also not nearly as aggressive, and he won't take one to land one like Evander did. You're going to land a lot more when you take them, right? Because now the fighter is open for counter shots. Usyk doesn't fight like that. Doesn't break his base as often as Loma. No, because he's not a forward attacking fighter like Lomachenko is. Loma is a guy who's an aggressive, come at you fighter, right? He wants to be the aggressor. He's not a counter puncher. Sean, you don't like Usyk too, aren't you European? How do I? What are you talking about? Like, you're talking about Riddick Bowe, and somehow this is about not liking Usyk. Like, what's wrong with you? You guys are fucking mental, right? I'm not European. I'm Canadian. But even if I was European, I wouldn't dick ride a fighter only because he comes from the same fucking continent as me. Usyk, with time, you will see he is the GOAT. Oh my God. Another one of these fucking guys. It's the same dude using fucking 45 different fucking channels. I think Loma is overall more talented, but Usyk was able to win in the most important fights. Loma missed his opportunities for various reasons. Yeah, the one thing I praised Usyk for was being able to win those last two rounds, finding a way to win the rounds on the judges' scorecards. That's something that Lomachenko wasn't as successful with, right? He ended up losing the last round against Haney. He ended up losing the last round to Tio, right? He won the last round against Salido, almost knocked him out. But if he would have been able to win that last round convincingly to Lopez and Tio, potentially he could have won both of those fights. I mean, maybe not on the scorecards, but on my scorecards, he would have been a draw with Tio, and he already beat fucking Haney. So, that would have just solidified it even more so. But I don't know how people are saying we're hating on Usyk. Literally, this whole video today is giving shine to Usyk. Evander versus Usyk. What is it with casuals dick riding Usyk? For fuck's sakes. They are all over the YTBC now. I know. And that's why I was making the video about these YouTubers who are fucking also pushing this BS. Like, if you're a Usyk fan, that's cool. If you think Usyk is pound for pound above Bud Crawford, that's cool. If you think Usyk is a top 10 all-time great heavyweight, that's cool. If you're like fucking Punch Drunk Boxing, who thinks he's one of the 5 best heavyweights of all time, that's cool. Some people felt Fury was the best heavyweight of all time based on his victories recently, right? Against Deontay Wilder, and then his huge knockout uppercut win over Dillian White, right? Which was a serious victory, especially coming off of the 2 knockouts to Wilder. So none of those statements are crazy or fucking out of pocket. But if you want to say that he's the GOAT, the best fighter in boxing history, now you're just fucking full of shit. because he hasn't even had enough legacy to fucking really even be in the conversation for that yet. And he probably never will be, because at 37 years old, how much longer is he going to be dominant in boxing as he is right now, right? There's no more real huge name opponents for him where he can really build up his resume even more. When we look at him, like, and as I said, I'm not hating on Usyk at all. Usyk's never been my favorite fighter stylistically, but I like him. I think he's funny as hell, dancing around fucking and training, everything else. But so he beat Fury, one champion. Dubois, currently a champion. AJ, a champion. Bellew was a champion. Gassiev was a champion. Breedis was a champion. Huck was a champion. Michuno was a champion. Glowacki was a champion. That's 9 world champions that he's beaten. 9 world champions. Like fucking Roman Gonzalez beat more champions than that. Lomachenko beat more fucking champions than that. Canelo, Bud Crawford, Ken Shiro, all beat more champions than that. They're talking about Floyd Mayweather. I don't even know why his name is coming in the conversation. He beat 28 world champions. And obviously was a dominant fucking great fighter during his era, whether you liked him or not. And I don't like him. So the fact I need to defend Floyd, fucking, that's what makes me angry. Because why am I even talking about Floyd? Fuck Floyd. You hit the nail on the head, Sean. I would like Usyk versus Jay Opetaia, Bridgerweight or heavyweight. I think Bridgerweight would be cool, right? Much more of a fair sort of situation. Because why should Usyk have to really drop all the way down to cruiserweight? Because, potentially that puts him in an awkward situation, very similar to Roy Jones and other fighters coming down in weight. But at Bridgerweight, Opetaia needs to come up. He needs to come down a little bit. It's probably a better scenario. But at this point, while I get your point, I would like to see the fight too. Jay Opetaia hasn't even unified yet. Let him go beat fucking Zurdo Ramirez to become a 3-belt cruiserweight champion, right? And then beat that bum-ass motherfucker that's got the other title. And at that point, okay, now he's an undisputed cruiserweight champion. He's literally equaled what Evander and Usyk have done in the past. Now that fight becomes way more interesting. But right now, I think Jay Opetaia is fucking somebody most people don't even know who he is. Most boxing fans never even heard of his name. Usyk is greater than Floyd. Why do you guys get mad? Not to mention many of the guys you named fight multiple times a year, whereas Usyk and Crawford only fight once a year. Well, I think that's circumstance more than because of them, right? I think if opportunities were available, they probably would have fought at least twice a year. Did I just time out the wrong person? If I did, I apologize. Whereas Usyk and Crawford only fight once a year. What makes Usyk great is the fact that he did it on the road. He is today's roid warrior, and that's huge. Yeah, and that's what people consistently have praised him for. His whole fucking career, right? Literally fighting in everyone's backyard from day one. Now you think of that Gassiev fight, and at the time, people didn't really appreciate what he was doing. But him, a Ukrainian, going to Russia, when tensions were high, right, to go fight a Russian for undisputed unification fight in Russia. It could have went horribly wrong, but he went in there, won the fight, boom, boom, bam. You're right, Sean. It's just that I don't see who Usyk can fight at heavyweight, which would be exciting. Well, I think a Daniel Dubois rematch would be great, because let's think, Daniel Dubois just fucking destroyed Anthony Joshua in a fashion that Usyk wasn't able to do, right? Usyk beat him, but he wasn't able to do what fucking Daniel Dubois did. And if he goes in there and destroys fucking Parker, that's going to be 2 historically great victories on Daniel Dubois' resume, and both statement fights. So I definitely think then a Usyk Dubois fight makes sense. And obviously, the good thing about that is it gives Usyk plenty of time off to recuperate physically, spend time with his family before making that fight. Maybe in August or July or September of 2025. The Gassiev fight is when I realized how good Usyk was. Well, people really fucking were hyped on Gassiev, especially after his victory against Dortukis, right? Which was a fucking great win for Gassiev. And then Usyk fucking played with him, beat him so easily. It wasn't even fucking competitive. Actually, it was disappointing, right? How easy he ended up beating him, especially with all the hype behind it, to go in there and really ruin Gassiev's career. Because after that, Gassiev, his career was finished. Hi, guys. Can you hear me? I'm back, even though somehow my camera's off. Yukis is the GOAT. Boxing truth. Is this the real boxing truth? If you're pushing that boxing truth, come on, man. I'm gonna have to ban you for life. Usyk beats him too. You don't know boxing for reals. What's your stream? Didn't like your lies either. Oh my god. This obviously is not the real boxing truth. Bye. And if it is, fuck you. Because nobody needs your ass here if you're fucking talking crap. We hear you. I'm back. Sorry, my computer died. I didn't notice that the battery was running low. So let's see if I can fucking manage to turn my camera on. I have no idea why my camera is not on. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. Start my camera. There. Ta-da. Was that the real boxing truth or somebody pretending to be boxing truth? IBF style, Sean. No photos. Well, yes. IFBP or IBFP. He definitely doesn't want anyone to see who he is. You lost your cam at the same time that Fury's beard hit the ground after shaving. I don't think his beard would ever hit the ground. It's so fucking long. I think it was just always rolling on the ground. Uh, oh my God. What's wrong with you people? I reported your stream. How can you say Joe Louis beats Usyk? Actually, stupid. I didn't say Joe Louis beats fucking Usyk. You just don't listen. He lost to Rocky Marciano. He lost to Rocky Marciano when he's 40 fucking 8 years old. Are you fucking moronic? Like, the amount of fucking stupid motherfuckers on the internet. I can't believe it. You can't see me. Really? I can see me. My camera's on. Okay. What about now? Can you see me in all my beauty? I'm back with a vengeance. I'm blocking dumb motherfuckers on YouTube, left, right, and center. Respect Usyk. He beats Joe Louis respectfully. Now you're back. Jason, George, Peter, whoever your name is, are you fucking a moron? Nobody said Joe Louis beat Usyk. Actually, I said that Usyk's footwork and hand speed would probably be too much for Joe Louis. I know that's complicated for fucking some stupid motherfuckers to grasp. But if you're going to like say I said something, at least quote me correctly. That's all I'm saying. I'm not always right, but if you're going to quote me correctly. Dudes, what's going on with all these fucking trolls today? Like, literally, it's either the same guy, which I assume it is, but how many fucking troll channels does one man have? Like, it's ridiculous. Heading to work, listen to Sean. John, what do you think about these fucking clowns, man? Like, they're making me fucking hate Usyk because of their stupidity. Like, these guys are bringing Floyd Mayweather into the conversation. How ridiculous is that? Like, when we're talking about the best heavyweights of all time, why are these guys needing to bring Floyd Mayweather into the conversation? This is just their hate towards Floyd, right? That they want to use this white fighter to hate on Floyd Mayweather, even though one's a heavyweight. There's no reason to even combine these two people in a conversation together. I don't get it. Like, my video was talking about Evander Holyfield and Usyk, and the fact that now people are trying to use Evander Holyfield to sort of sneak diss Usyk, right? Which is what I saw on social media. You can be a Holyfield fan like me, like this guy. Here's another one. Report you again for lying about Usyk. Oh my God, buddy. Are you fucking really a moron? Yeah, Usyk never lost. What's your point? Rocky Marciano never lost either. Are you going to say he's the fucking GOAT? Reverse psychology, Sean. Thought JB hacked Sean because his soldiers are out strong tonight. I don't think these are his soldiers because these guys are anti-black fighters, really. These Usyk fans are sounding like Mirage and him fanboying for Benavides. Exactly. What Sean is defending Floyd? I know, John. Fucking imagine. Imagine that I need to defend fucking Floyd Mayweather. It's fucking ridiculous. Because I'm the last person anyone should fucking come to his fucking channel to watch me fucking not support, but defend Floyd Mayweather. And now John's just going to say, I don't really like Floyd Mayweather. I'm just using him. I'm not using anyone. I just fucking don't know why these people are bringing Floyd into the conversation. I know John thinks Evander Holyfield probably should be ranked above Usyk, all-time great heavyweights of all time. Tell us why you feel that way, John. Because I'm an Evander Holyfield fan, not a Usyk fan. But even in saying that, I still have to put Usyk above Evander, all-time great heavyweights. Lennox Lewis is above him. Muhammad Ali is above him. Who do we say? Above Usyk, I mean. Joe Louis, I don't think so. But, gay weather. Come on, man. How old are we? We're not bringing back the whole packed, tard, flow-mo fucking generation, are we? I thought we moved past that. Became grown-ups. Sorry. Sorry. John Boxing, check out Mike Montero's latest stream. Usyk is greater than Armstrong. And in truth, maybe pound for pound, all-time greats. Maybe you could justify Usyk as greater than Armstrong. Like I said, I feel that fighters today, compared to fighters in the 30s and 40s, are just better. Technically better, just better fighters overall. But you're comparing a fucking lightweight to a heavyweight. I don't understand why he needs to bring fucking Armstrong into a conversation with Usyk. Why aren't you comparing Usyk to fucking heavyweights? Klitschko, Riddick Bowe, Lennox Lewis, Ali, Foreman, Frazier, Joe Louis, right? That's who you should be comparing him to. Ah, yeah. Crazy motherfuckers. Great fighters, but show how many times those top five got knockouts and lost. Usyk is another level, Sean. Know your boxing. Oh my God. This dude literally has 100 fucking fanboy channels. John Boxing, yes. I think Usyk is better than the real deal. Boxer always beats a fighter. No, they don't always beat a fighter. Pressure fighters, right? Pressure fighters beat boxers a lot because boxers struggle with the pressure. But that's a head to head matchup. We're talking about accolades, resume, and overall accomplishments. Sean is a Floyd fanboy. I know. That's going to be my new tagline for my channel. Now the LDBC is going to become fucking my number one fans. I'm going to fucking fanboy for Floyd Mayweather and Devin Haney. Then John and me are going to be like fucking this. Tight. Right, Lily? See, Lily has no time for this BS. She's thinking, fuck all this shit. Oh, but let's get back to my PPT. I know John will disagree with this, but we're talking about the greatest prospect in boxing today. And I know this is not who John says is the greatest prospect of boxing today, because, of course, that would have to be a Black American fighter. But I think it's definitely Moses Pitamo. I think he is easily the most exciting prospect in world boxing and potentially the best. This is a guy who's being compared to fucking prime Mike Tyson, right? A guy that literally went out there and knocked out Simon fucking Keane in one fucking round. This is the same guy that went, 11 rounds with Hrgovic? Hrgovic, who is considered a top 5 heavyweight. And that guy went 11 rounds with him, whereas fucking Moses knocked his ass out in one fucking round. What a statement fight, right? I mean, the UK is truly dominating fucking heavyweight boxing. You can't even fucking question that. And I know Americans like John and others, they don't like that. But if you're a boxing fan, it's irrelevant. You shouldn't fucking care. Sure, if an American heavyweight was dominating, that would be great. For sure, you would fucking love that. Yeah, nobody says you wouldn't. But to be a fan of boxing, you got to just be happy when there's great fighters available, right? And I mean, Moses is fucking a monster. And I'm super excited to see what he's going to do. I hope his next fight is against the one man you see here, Pulev. Pulev is currently the WBA regular champion. So for Moses to beat him, he would break Mike Tyson's record for the youngest heavyweight champion, even though, yes, it's not the legitimate title, but it is the same title Mike Tyson won, the WBA regular title. Because when Mike Tyson was the WBA champion, there was no super title. There was only the regular title. And obviously, it's going to be difficult for Moses to get a fight for the big titles at this point. But by 2025, it's easily imaginable that Usyk is going to drop his titles and those titles are going to become available. And we'll see what happens. But Moses is a fucking monster. What a fucking upcoming superstar that kid is. Boxing needs a superstar, another Mike Tyson. Even John Boxing knows his boxing. He agreed Usyk is the GOAT. Oh my God. Who is this pure people? What are you talking about? Like, why are you guys fucking enamored with that stupid statement? Sean, where are we? Remember the Porter beat Usyk in the amateurs. That's crazy, huh? And didn't Beterbiev beat him in the amateurs as well? Sean, your boy and all, but I think Evander beats Usyk. No, I didn't say he doesn't beat him. Because what John said is the boxer is better than the pressure fighter. But I just made the statement that pressure fighters, right? It's the right style against the boxer. I could see Evander Holyfield beating Usyk because of his style. But we're talking about who's better all time. Evander's intensity at heavyweight was crazy. True. I don't disagree. The kid is 19-year-old. He's damn good, but I rock with Abdullah Mason. Yet Abdullah Mason is still only fighting 8 rounders, right? Not against world ranked contenders, which is what Moses just did in his last 2 fights. Sean, you block everybody, but not John Boxing, who got your channel blocked. You're not making sense, Sean. Well, Jalan 10, I don't know who you are, but should I block you too? I'm blocking people who are pushing the same stupid comments in my channel consistently. Like, if you want to talk boxing, talk boxing. You notice I don't block you because you didn't say the same stupid statement. You brought up a different statement, and that's fine. We don't mind having conversations, and we don't mind people disagreeing with us, but we don't need stupidity fucking raining down from the clouds consistently, especially over dumbass fucking narratives. If that's the way you believe, I said that's fine, but that's not what we're talking about today. So either you're on board or you're fucking out the door. Up to you. Hey, nobody hates on Abdullah Mason. He's definitely great. But the irony is, it's not going to be long before John and other American boxing fans are hating on Abdullah Mason because he's a top ranked fighter. So it's only going to be so long before he starts getting hated on because of his white promoter. John Boxing, how does it feel? Euros and Mexicans rule boxing. Don't forget Japanese. Japanese boxing is fucking really at a pinnacle right now. John, man, do you ever look at a map? Taiwan is fucking south of China and it's fucking this big. It's like literally you fucking probably couldn't find it on a map. Get your phone out right now, get global map and see if you can even find Taiwan. If you do, I'll send you 100 NT. But there's no fucking oil industry. Taiwan is a super small island. It's the same size as Vancouver Island off the coast of Vancouver in Canada. Like, it's small, super small. There's no oil industry at all. What we have is high-tech industry. China won't attack us because if they do, all those things that make your computers and phones run, all those chips will fucking be. So then the world will stop because there will be no more chips. That's what Taiwan makes. I'm a big Holyfield fan. Me too. I love Evander. Does PBC still exist? They do. It'll be interesting to see what they do in 2025. Black boxing is done. Mason's a bum. Mason's not a bum. Mason's a good fighter. But like every good young up-and-coming fighter, we're not going to know how good he is until he actually steps up his opposition and we get to see him against legitimate opponents. At this point, he hasn't faced anybody even recognizable. Unlike Moses. Moses is literally fighting recognized opponents. I would have really liked to see Usyk against Tyson to see how he would handle his kind of pressure. Yeah, and that's what I said. I think Mike Tyson, would beat Usyk. And Foreman as well. But I mean, it's styles, right? Like, I mean, John can love who he loves in boxing, and that's fine. But what you got to realize is styles make fights. It's not about the color of someone's skin. It's about the style they have in the ring, right? You fight a certain style against a certain style, you're probably going to win because that style is made to do something against that opposition. Obviously, there's different levels, so that's something to bring in as well. Tyson got knocked out by Buster Douglas and lost to Jake Paul. Usyk is above him. Again, Ash 10, I know you're the same simp channel that's all over here. Nobody said that Tyson was above Usyk on the top 10 heavyweights of all time. We just say stylistically, Mike Tyson might have the style to beat Usyk. He has faster feet than Usyk has and faster hands than Usyk has, right? So that would be a problem for Usyk. No one rules boxing. There are great fighters from everywhere. That's the beauty of it. Exactly. That's why I love Jay Perez. John Boxing can't accept that, and that's part of our problem, part of our, back and forth, because he can't accept that there's great fighters from everywhere. And the fact that boxing is global now, it's even more so that than it was before, because boxing is more global now than it ever has been. That's just a fact. I know I can explain to him 100 times and he still doesn't get it, but boxing is far more of a global sport than it was historically when Cubans and Eastern Europeans didn't fight professional. Now you have all those fighters in professional boxing. Asia, Japan didn't start fighting professional boxing until 1950. So maybe even after 19, really not really relevant in 1950, obviously, because they were post World War II. Philippines as well. Now we got great Asian fighters, great white fighters, great Mexican, Latino fighters, great Black American fighters, Black fighters, whether they're English or American. I mean, we got great fighters from all over the place. Isn't that what's truly wonderful about the sport of boxing? It's like that. What's that company that has the flag? You know, it's their brand, clothing company. How come I never can remember them? They used to always have good advertisements with sexy girls. Come on, really, you bring the Jake Paul fight. It was a draw. What was a draw? Big Dosser. Oh, it was a draw. Usyk and Fury. I had it a draw. So don't come here fucking capping to me. I said in my live it was a draw. But being a draw means that either fighter potentially could have got the decision. In this case, Usyk got the decision. So accept it. It is what it is. Fury Usyk. Yes, I get you. I get you. Yeah, I had it a draw. But meaning a draw means you can't be upset that Fury didn't win and Usyk did win, because it could have obviously been the opposite as well. That's what happens when a fight is so competitive. It's like that. Easily could go either way. But the big question is, Big Dosser, what do you think about Moses? Moses is your future. He is the next great UK heavyweight. This is the man who's going to carry on the mantle of AJ, Fury, Lennox Lewis. And then there was Moses, who separated the boxing world to become king. Dun, dun, dun. Moses. I don't remember Bible school too much, so if I'm off, excuse me. Oh, my knee is killing me. So John's going to work right now. Oh, it's like fucking almost 7 o'clock in the morning, John's time. Aha. Oh no, he's East Coast. So it's fucking way earlier. Jesus Christ, you're up early. What is it, like almost 4 o'clock in the morning? Those oil rig motherfuckers working early. Usyk did more in rematch than Fury. Well, to be fair, the way you win fights is based on how many rounds you won, right? So you could do more theoretically, but still end up losing a fight because you didn't do more in enough rounds to win. If Usyk fights Dubois again in 2025 and wins and becomes a 3-time undisputed champion, is he fighter of the decade for 2020? No. Floyd won't won it last decade, only fought till 2015, half a decade. Well, Floyd shouldn't have won it. It should have been Roman Gonzalez, who was fighter of the last decade, because Roman Gonzalez obviously accomplished far more than Floyd did. But they gave it to Floyd because Floyd didn't win the last decade because Pacquiao ended up winning. And they feel obligated to give Floyd a fighter of the decade, even though it should have been Roman Gonzalez. For this decade, I don't think it would be Usyk, because it would have to be Bud Crawford, who became 2-time undisputed champion in 2 different weights before anybody else did it, and is a 4-weight world champion. Obviously, those accolades, I think, supersede Usyk, who just duplicated what Floyd did. What Bud Crawford did. Is Moses really 6'6"? No. I think he's 6'4". I don't think he's that tall. Moses Atomo. He might even be just 6'3". He's not one of those giant gargantuan heavyweights. But obviously, the guy he just faced, he was, right? What's his face? The Australian. I think he was 6'6", 6'5". I don't know how to have Lawrence Okoli top 8. Who did he beat at heavyweight? Literally nobody. Literally fucking nobody. I wouldn't have Moses fucking, Lawrence Okoli that fucking high. That dude's a bum. Bum. Where's Moses? 40. He should be way higher now the next time they do this. Moses. Sorry, there we are. 11-0, 9 KOs. 6'2.5" with a 68.5-inch reach. So a little smaller, shorter than Usyk, but a little longer in reach. 19 years old. Obviously, he's a Slovak, right? His parents are from Slovakia, moved to the UK. I guess one of his parents is black, the other one is white Slovakian. I guess mom must be black. Fellas, got to go. Have a good day. Interesting fight. Moses Atame, Jared Anderson. No, Jared Anderson just got knocked the fuck out by Bacoli. So I don't know if that's an interesting fight right now. He needs to bounce back with a win. Moses beats Usyk. The kid is 6'4", southpaw with hand speed of a welterweight and incredible balance. Team Usyk on record as saying Moses is the next big thing. That doesn't mean they lose to him. Let's get to the end of the decade before we start handing out Fighter of the Decade awards. I agree. Sean was the AI scoring card that scored it 3-10 rounds for Usyk Fury fight. Huh? Sean, was it the AI scoring card that scored 3-10 10 rounds for the Usyk Fury fight? I don't understand what you're asking. They had it like 118, 111 or something. John Boxing, remember Usyk the GOAT and beats all your favorite fighters in history. Sean, that BoxRec height is bullshit. He's 6'4". Well, that's an inch and a half difference, man. I would say they're probably closer, and you're probably using what people normally do. Being a boy, I know you say you're taller than you actually are. So it's probably the same here. But regardless, 6'4", 6'3", it's marginal. And if his reach is 78.5 and he's 6'4", that means his arm reach is not really that long compared to Usyk, who's 6'3". Joe Louis got knocked out by Rocky Marciano, Max Schmeling, respectively. So your logic, Usyk's is greater. Again, you're the same fanboy, dumbass fucking guy jumping on another thing. Nobody said Joe Louis was greater than Usyk. So are you fucking deaf or just fucking retarded? I'll chalk it up to retarded. Bye. We don't need retards on our fucking live. We get enough retards here already. Me being number one, and there's only room for one of us. I'm 47, pal, and 6'3". What does your age have to do with anything? You say you're 6'3", that means you're probably 6'1" and a fucking half. 6'1" and a half, 47-year-old fucking Englishman who probably weighs fucking 20 stone. Not that I know what a stone is, but I'm pretending to know. Someone's card had 3 rounds even at 10-10-10. Oh, okay. No, it definitely wasn't AI. AI fucking had Usyk winning big. What's left with Usyk in heavyweight now? He beat all the established names. Should he go back to cruiserweight and fight Jay or better BF? Like I said, I think a Jay Opetaia fight would be more interesting after he beats a Zerto, right? And then is like a 3-belt unified champion. Then at least it would be a more interesting fight. I mean, if Usyk's going to come down, he should try to become undisputed 4 times, right? Usyk, number 1 in a very average era. What do you mean average? Come on, man. This era is not average. See, I've been around for a long time, longer than you, 10 years longer than you. So, you know, I've heard this fucking statement made every fucking era, literally every era. They said it in the Larry Holmes era. They said it in the Mike Tyson era. They said it in the fucking Lennox Lewis Evander era. Then they fucking said it, in the Klitschko era. Now they're saying it now in this era. This is consistently what people said. But you never hear people say that Joe Louis was a champion during a very average fucking era, even though it was. That's why he fought a bum of the month club, right? There's been a lot of fucking average eras in boxing, but it's only used to really discredit modern boxing. We don't need to discredit modern boxing. Let's give fucking credit where credit's due. Usyk is doing great things as an underdog on the road against fighters that people are predicting will beat him. You just said it was a draw because obviously you feel tough that Fury was the better man and should have won, and that's the guy you wanted to win, but he didn't win. Stay mad and triggered, haters. Appreciate greatness. You're seeing the best. Usyk, Ukraine. There's retards fucking everywhere tonight. What the fuck is going on? Is this the Ukraine? Is every Ukrainian fucking person now fucking capping for Usyk? I hope so. At least that would justify it. This era was better than the Klitschko era. Fucking way better than the Klitschko era. Outside of fucking Tua. I mean, Ike Iwabuchi was great, but of course he fucking butchered his career, which is why he's coming back now at like 50-something years old. But like, that era is weak. Weak. Let's go back and see Klitschko fucking era. Where's Klitschko? Who did Klitschko fucking fight during his era? A lot of bum-ass motherfuckers, that's for sure. The great Klitschko, 64-5, knocked out 4 times. I mean, Jesus, man. The one thing that guy did not have was a chin. So what's the best wins on his resume? Fucking Pulev, who AJ beat. Povetkin, who AJ beat. Marius Walk, no. Tony Thompson, no. Mormick, great. Cruiserweight. David Hay, cruiserweight. Not as good as fucking Usyk, not as good as Evander. Samuel Peter, never that good. Eddie Chambers, never that good. Chagiev, who knows. Rockman had like one good win in his career. Brewster, Austin, Brock, Bird was a good fighter, but undersized. Peter again. Yeah, so there's like 3 fighters. Jamal McCline, Mercer, good win, but obviously Mercer was older and a little past his best. Derek Jefferson, remember him? Not a bad resume when you look at it overall, but I mean, he fucking got knocked out by fucking Ross Purity, 24-13-1. You imagine fucking Usyk getting knocked out by a guy like that. Holy fuck, man. People would clown him huge in modern boxing. So literally that's like 3 great wins on his resume. 3. What about Itame Torres would be an exciting fight? But Torres hasn't fought anyone yet. He's like the same as Abdullah Mason, right? Fighting bums. So he's got to step up and face like a real opponent. It'd be better to throw Torres in with fucking Jared Anderson and see who's the best American. And then maybe then you could fight the best American against Moses. But at this point, there's no chance American promoters are going to put those 2 guys in with fucking Moses. None. Like Ibramovich, Thompson, Rockman, Chagiev, Chambers, Peter, Mormick, Wack, Jennings. There's like 8 guys on his resume that are solid, right? Solid top 10 fighters. Maybe they're top 10 at certain points in their career, right? I don't think any of them were ever considered top 5, but they were bottom level top 10 heavyweights at their point, and he beat them. And then 3 really good fighters in Povetkin, Pulev, and one other guy. Uh, Now the tally was better than Vlad, sure, but he also had terrible losses on his resume when he fucking quit against Bird, right? His two losses also by knockout as well. 41 knockouts and 45 wins. What did they do? They put in his resume on the bottom? Huh? I don't understand. Where's fucking all the fights? Look, it tops off in 2012. So where's the top of the fights? Where's his fight to fucking Lennox Lewis? It's not even listed on BoxRec. Look at that. Oh, there it is. Okay, I missed it. Sorry, bad eyes. So, who did he beat? Char, Chisora. Chisora, obviously good. Adamak, not bad. Solis, another overrated Cuban. Shannon Briggs, not bad. Areola, obviously that victory ended up doing well. Peters, again, same person. Corey Sanders, obviously revenge. Kirk Johnson from Canada. Lennox Lewis. Ross Purity. Orlin Norris. Bird. Obed Sullivan. Herbie Hyde, UK fighter. Yeah, I don't think it was better. He did not have nearly as dominant a resume as his brother. And the best wins on his resume were who? Chisora, who was 15-2. Shannon Briggs. Areola. Lewis, who he lost to. Yeah. So I think his brother actually had a better resume than him. Did more, fought far more top level opponents. But, it is what it is. Both good heavyweights, but both lacking something. And then we look at the great Muhammad Ali, 56-5, only knocked out once. What does that tell you, eh? The Klitschko's were fucking gigantic, 5 inches taller, huge monsters, yet every loss fucking was a knockout loss to them. Whereas we go back early in his career, when did he first have his first big fight? Archie Moore, 1962. Obviously, Archie Moore was old and past his prime, but for a young kid getting Archie Moore, an idol, obviously that would have been very important. And then obviously facing Doug Jones, solid fighter, and then Henry Cooper, great UK fighter, and then Liston. To fight Liston after those limited level of top fighters, and then you go in and you get the world champion, 35-1, stop him in 6, destroy him in 1 in the rematch, then beat Floyd Patterson, who, obviously was a dominant fighter prior to Liston beating him twice, then Chevalo, Henry Cooper again. London, Mildenberg, Cleveland Williams, quality win, dominate, destroyed him. Ernie Terrell, Zora Foley, Jerry Corey, Oscar Bonaveda, and then Joe Frazier. Jimmy Ellis, Buster Mathis, Chevalo again, Corey again, Patterson, obviously well past his best, Bob Foster, great light heavyweight, Joe Bugner, Norton, Frazier, Foreman, Chuck Webner, Ron Lyle, Joe Bugner, Frazier again, Jimmy Young, Ken Norton again, Ernie Shavers, Spinks, Holmes, and Burbick. Obviously, after Shavers in 1977, he should have retired. Those last 4 fights never should have been on his resume. And then he'd be what? 55-2? 55-2, and he wouldn't have been fucking mentally broken like he was. Uh, how you think a prime Mercer would fare versus Usyk? I like not Ron Mercer. He's a basketball player. Ray Mercer. Ray Mercer, part of that Olympic team, aggressive. What was he? A Marine that ended up becoming a boxer, tough as nails, tough fighter. But even him, right? Like, I mean, quality fighter. But he lost to some guys that were really surprising. I mean, people were really surprised based on him losing to a few less than stellar opponents. But obviously, his victory over who? Morrison was huge. That was a stellar performance for him. Look at fucking great resume. I'm trying to think who fought my man. I'm trying to find an opponent that he faced. Tommy Morrison. There we go. Tommy Morrison. Rest in peace, brother. Ray Mercer, 36, 7-1, only knocked out twice, 26 KOs, 6-1 with a 77-inch reach. Lost to Larry Holmes. Obviously an old-ass Larry Holmes, over 12 rounds. Lost to Jess fucking Ferguson, 18-9. Lost to Holyfield in a tightly competitive fight. Lost to Evander Holyfield. Evander Holyfield and then Lennox Lewis. Lost to Klitschko, got destroyed in that fight. And then, of course, Shannon Briggs. And then Derek Rossi. All those losses don't really count much later in his career. But you lose to a guy like Jess Ferguson, who's 18-9. How can I fucking rank you to beat a Usyk? I can't. Usyk would beat you. Wars with Evander and Lewis. Yeah, he's tough, right? But limited. Slow feet, slow hands. A guy that took two to land one. And while that would do good if you could knock guys out, if you couldn't, you ended up losing fights to guys like Jess Willard. But thanks for jumping in, everyone. I think I'm going to go walk the puppy while I get a chance. It's like closing in on 7:30 here, dinner time. So I'll see you guys next time. Peace out. Enjoy your week. And Merry Christmas.